We are watching shares of Facebook slowing, trying to bounce back after a rough couple of weeks. This, as a top executive at the company tells the Wall Street Journal, users generally have not updated their privacy settings in recent weeks, and Facebook doesn't expect any significant impact of all of this controversy to its ad sales. Joining us now is Michael Jones, the former CEO of MySpace and CEO of Science Inc. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk the real impact of what we've seen happen with Facebook over the past few weeks. It's an extremely important distribution mechanism for so many of the portfolio companies in science and across LA and Silicon Valley. What do you think is going to happen next that's different from what's been happening up to this point?
Well, a lot of the issues that we're seeing discussed today is really around what Facebook was doing back before 2015, where they were allowing a user that was contributing data into Facebook to then connect to an app, and then that app was then pulling additional data around those users' friends and then using it for other purposes. And they've rectified a whole bunch of that. I think the question now is, as users are understanding that Facebook's collecting this data, will they give up the entertainment value and the utility value of using Facebook for more privacy?
So no, they won't, or at least you would think that if they were going to, that they'd have started to do that already. Facebook's telling us that they won't. Do you think we end up adopting some version of what Europe's doing with data regulation, GDPR? You're suggesting that maybe blockchain, which you guys at Science are big on, might be some way to solve this problem?
Well, the way we look at it is, today when you interact with these websites or these mobile applications or these little social environments, you're leaving this digital footprint, this shadow of yourself kind of all over the internet. And you're trusting those companies to do the right things with that data. One question becomes, in the future, if we realize there'll be a representation of ourselves in this data, and we'll need to use this in all these different services that we're connecting to, is there a better method? And a lot of people are looking at the blockchain saying, gosh, here's a system where my data could be encrypted, and I could grant access, and I could revoke access from different companies that could use that data, and then the companies could still give me a great quality of service, but they wouldn't have to actually have copies of me sitting in their database. And so it's looking at a new type of technical architecture that might solve for the kind of upcoming future privacy needs that we all have as citizens of this kind of digital world.
Do you think existing social media companies like Facebook could and should adopt it, or is it going to take new startups to do that?
I believe that if you have the right solution out there that's fast and it won't impede or it'll hurt Facebook's business, that they'll choose the right data platform to work with. And although Europe may force changes in the way that these companies are holding and managing users' data, if somebody puts out a great best-of-breed solution, I think these technology companies would love to offload the liability of sitting on all this data and sitting on all this complicated communications with their users on how they use this data in elaborate terms of service. So I think, yeah, if the solution comes out there through a blockchain startup of a new type of company, I think that these large companies will love to adopt it.
Whether it's that or whether they say do something more pedestrian like change the default settings, what's the danger of the return on investment for some of these ads going markedly down, something that would suppress demand for ads on Facebook?
I think the only thing that suppresses demand for ads on Facebook is if people use Facebook less. And when we talk about
so you think it's a pure DAU issue?
I think it's a pure DAU issue. And remember, when I think Facebook's a company. We obviously have Facebook.com, we have Instagram, and they have other products like WhatsApp that are basically giving them immense reach to users. Their value is going to become talking from advertisers and brands to those users, and those ads get better if they have data to work from. They would love a solution where they don't have to sit and own that data. If they could use a product that gave users control over that data, but still allowed for a great ad experience, I think they'd be super open to it.
Given the conversation we're having right now and the fact that you are a very active angel investor, is this changing or dictating the way you're going to make future investments?
We do look now at companies that are leveraging Facebook and Facebook graph data to grow, and obviously we have a lot of caution around them because it feels like it's a growth channel and a growth strategy that may not be the right one going forward. Luckily, right now we don't have that many companies that rely on that any longer. And then from a future investment perspective, we look at companies like Civic, like Springroll, like different companies that are building blockchain solutions that allow for data protection and privacy. And we think those are interesting sectors to invest in, and we're choosing to invest in those two companies and multiple companies that are doing identity protection and verification.
Mike, Bitcoin has lost more than half of its value. The value of a Bitcoin has dropped by more than half since December. Now, it is the brand that people think of when they think of cryptocurrencies. How is this either depressed or volatile environment in Bitcoin, depending on how you look at it, affecting the people who you're working with who are actually trying to build companies, economies on top of cryptocurrencies and blockchain?
So today, it impacts it a lot. Because if you imagine when people decide that they want to put capital into cryptocurrencies, they certainly start with buying Bitcoin. And then after they have Bitcoin, they might look at other products or other tokens in the universe in order to put capital into. So when the Bitcoin price drops, then they see their overall net value drop, and a lot of the subsequent products that are built within the ecosystem also drop in value. Now, as we've seen in the last 48 hours, Bitcoin's price has started to regain its growth again, and that could be because we're coming to the end of the tax season and people are finally getting through understanding what they owe relative to their cryptocurrency gains. But when that market comes back, I think you'll see a flurry of future investment back into the cryptocurrency space.
All right, Mike Jones, a lot to watch between crypto and data on social media. Thanks for helping us through it.
No
Mike
problem,
Jones
thanks for having me.
out in LA.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.